experience. All right, speaking of that, Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker James Harrison teaching his two sons that real life is about hard work. He returned the kids' so-called participation trophies. Harrison writing this about them: I am very proud of my boys for everything they do and will encourage them till the day I die. These trophies will be given back until they earn a real trophy. I'm not sorry for believing that everything in life should be earned. So let's talk about this. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host, and David Webb is a radio talk show host on Sirius XM Patriot and a columnist for The Hill. Both are Fox News contributors. Welcome to you both.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I have some thoughts on this, and I'd like to hear yours. So, Leslie, let's start with you. So he basically said, look, when kids get these participation trophies at the end of the season, gee, thanks for showing up. You get a little trophy. He says that's ridiculous. Give them back. The kids who did really well maybe should get a special trophy for outstanding work on the field or on the team. But, this stuff is garbage. It's not helping anybody.
I disagree with this strongly. I have two kids, 7 and 8. My son is 8, and he's one of those athletic kids who is good at everything that he does. But that is not the case for every child. And because somebody gets the most baskets or is the fastest runner doesn't mean that they're necessarily working harder than some of the other kids. One year, my son's team gave him 2 trophies, one for being the fastest and one for scoring the most points. He said, "Mommy, how come this other kid didn't get a trophy?" I said, well, because he didn't score the most points and he wasn't the fastest. He said, that's not fair. We're a team. I think it's good to show people that showing up is part of the battle.
Wow.
That teamwork is
You can
involved.
be on the team. You can be on the team.
Winning isn't everything.
But you know what? A kid who does the best on the team should get a trophy, an MVP trophy. And the other one I like is most improved for the season. So if you worked super hard and you've done well, a most improved trophy, I think, is a good message to send. But the fact is that not everyone belongs on that team, on the football team or the baseball team, and maybe they're going to find out, you know what, maybe that's not my thing. Maybe I'm not a star at this thing, or maybe I really just want to be on the team, or maybe I want to go take piano, or maybe I want to do something else that I'm really good at and find my thing. David, what do you think?
I think we should just let you keep talking, Martha, but let me say this to Leslie about her son. Since he's doing very well in sports, and I'm happy he is, I hope he's doing very well in the classroom as well. And since he got an A and the other kid got a C, why don't we divide the difference and give the other kid his fair share of what he's earned? Look, there's a valuable lesson and a correct lesson here, not just for children, but to Americans, to the adults, that you do earn, you do achieve. As these children grow up and they go into work, do they believe that everyone should get the same amount of pay because someone else may not be as good at them as a job or at a particular skill? We earn our way in life. I remember my first letter sweater. I remember my first trophy. I also remember a valuable lesson when my parents showed me and demonstrated, so as my teammates said, I need to work harder, work hard to run a little bit faster so I could earn it, whatever I did.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at another part of what he wrote here. He said, I'm not about to raise 2 boys to be men by making them believe they're entitled to something just because they tried their best. Because sometimes your best is not enough, and that it should drive you to want to do better. And here's the other thing, Leslie. You'll find when your kids are not 7 and 8, but when they're 13, 14, they're going to suddenly get cut from teams. And they're not going to know what happened because they've been told that trying your best deserves a trophy. So things are very soft in grade school, and then you get to middle school, you get to high school, and suddenly, they're knocked on their behind because the coaches aren't messing around anymore. And they don't understand that. It's hard for them to understand that, Leslie.
I really feel that we're too hard on our children. I do. And I think if you just look at the numbers of kids that we have on antidepressants that are going to therapy, or the suicide rate among our teens in America is proof of that. And I say that because, of course, kids are going to eventually try out for a team. When they're playing soccer at 7 or 8, although my son's getting to that age where you try out. And if you don't get on the team, well, you're obviously not going to get a trophy because you're not part of the team.
But then you
but
get
in the
right
beginning,
to complain
it's about
under what
teaching
you're saying that I should
sportsmanship.
make the
It's
team.
about teaching them how to play the game.
Really? Well, here's the game. There's a winner and there's a loser. In football, in baseball, in anything, you don't get a tie unless it's an exception in the NFL or in college. You get a winner and a loser.
In the World Cup, in the World Cup soccer, if you get a tie, both teams go home with that tie. And Americans have a difficult time wrapping our head around that.
Leslie, that's the rules of the game. Here's the difference. I've played several sports.
But there's not a winner or a loser if you tie, is there?
All right, hold on, Leslie. And Leslie, I learned from the losses, as did my team, and I've also been on the coaching end of things. And I taught my players when I was a coach that you excel and you win by being exceptional. I'll give you a simple example that really irritates me. I go by my old high school this weekend, and I see a sign on the high school, one of those banners, and it says, intellectually competent since 1872. Let me tell you something, and I hope my mother's not watching. When I saw that, my parents didn't send me there to be adequate and satisfactory. They sent me there to be the best I can be, and my teachers wanted me to be the best I can be. So we've got to stop this false narrative about kids feel something.
You know what?
Kids feel they need to excel.
Yeah, we got to go. But I want to say one more thing. You know, in terms of kids who are depressed, there's another school of thought that believes that the reason that that's happening is because they're so protected all the time that when something bad happens, they don't have the resiliency. They're not used to failing and saying, big deal, I'll just get up and try something else, or I'll try again harder next time. And that's making them very vulnerable. So this is it's a serious issue that we're talking about here, and we'll talk about it more in the future. But thanks, you guys, for being here today.
Thank you, Martha.